Good day, students. Welcome to mathgoodserve.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over question number 3 of our Solving Quadratics quiz. If you would like to gain access to the entire quiz, just take a look at the link in the description below. Alright, so the instructions for this problem are as follows. We are to solve the given quadratic by factoring. So solve the given quadratic equation by factoring. Okay, so let's say we have, for question number 3 of the quiz, 2a squared plus 3a minus 2 equals 0. Alright, so what we notice here is that we have a quadratic trinomial. Okay, there are 3 terms. We want to factor by grouping. Okay, so in order for us to factor by grouping, we need 4 terms. To accomplish this, we're going to play a game known as the X game. So in order to play the X game, what we're going to do is we're going to find 2 numbers to replace the middle term with so that we can be able to factor this quadratic trinomial by grouping. To accomplish this, we need AC on the top position and B on the bottom position. Alright? In order to determine what A, B, and C are, we need to make sure that the quadratic is in standard form. Basically, we need to ensure that the terms are in descending order of degree, as we have here, and the equation is set equal to 0. Okay, so A is the leading coefficient, B is the coefficient of the first degree variable, and C is the constant. Alright, so A is 2, B is 3, and C is negative 2. Alright, so AC is going to be negative 4 in this case. Let's change the colors. So AC is negative 4 and B is 3. So we need to think about 2 numbers that multiply to give us 4, negative 4, and add to give us 2. Alright, so let's write a product of integers that yield negative 4 and see which pairs combine to yield 3. Okay, so for 4, we have 1 times 4 is 4, and then 2 times 2 is 4. Alright, we have a complete loop. Now, which of these pairs, either by subtraction or addition, can yield 3? We can clearly see that the first combination, 1 and 4, is what we need. Okay, so we're going to place that into the middle spot, like we did problems number 1 and 2 in the previous presentations. So to resolve the sign, the sum has to be positive and the product negative. So at least one of these two has to be negative. So since the sum or difference is positive, that means the smaller has to be negative. Alright, so these are the 2 terms we're going to input into our quadratic trinomial. So we have 2a squared minus 1a plus 4a minus 2 equals 0. Now what we're going to do is we're now going to proceed to partition our quadratic with 4 terms down the center and factor by grouping. Okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and break them down, and then we're going to factor by grouping. So for the first term, we can decompose that into 2 times a minus 1 times a, and then 4a can be broken. Oh yeah, bring down the middle sign, which is positive. That's good, so no sign change happens. So we have 2 times 2 times a minus 2 times 1 equals 0. Now let's take a look at the first 2 terms. What's a common factor that can be extracted there? We have a and a are common, so we can factor out an a. So when we factor out the a's as though we're dividing by a, okay? So when we divide the first term, 2a squared by a, this a is divided out to 1. And then when we divide 1a by a, this is divided out to 1. So what we're left with in the parentheses is 2a minus 1. Now to the right, we bring down the middle sign, which is positive, which is good. So if we place the parentheses here, no sign changes. But if this were a negative, When we place the parenthesis here, the middle sign will invert. Okay, so 2 and 2 are common on the right side of the partition, so we factor those two out. And when we factor out 2, what we're doing is we are dividing out. So this one becomes 1, and this becomes 1. And on the right side of the partition, we're left with 2a minus 1 equals 0. All right, let's pause and see, make sure that we're doing things correctly, and that definitely is the case here. These two quantities, 2a minus 1, are the same, which means that our work is correct so far. So we're going to proceed to factor these two out into their own parentheses, 2a minus 1, and we will be left with a plus 2 upon factorization, and we're going to take the a plus 2 and we're going to group them into their own little parentheses, set it equal to 0. Alright, so we successfully factored the quadratic trinomial to the left side of the equation. Now we're going to use the zero product property to finish this problem off. Okay, so the zero product property basically says that if you have the product of terms that equals 0, product of factors like this, then one or the other is equal to 0. Okay, so to solve this, we are going to set the first factor equal to 0 and the second factor equal to 0. Now, to solve the first one, we're going to add 1 to both sides. We have 2a equals 1, and then divide both sides by 2. Okay, so the first answer is a equals 1/2. And then for the second one, we just simply subtract 2 from both sides of the equation, and that will give us our answer, which is a equals -2. Alright, so our solutions are -2 and 1/2. Alright, so what we're going to do now is graph this equation in a calculator just for verification purposes to see if our solutions are in fact correct. Alright, so to do that, we're going to be graphing the related quadratic function. We're going to be graphing, so we're going to graph y equals 2x squared plus 3x minus 2. Okay, I just replaced the a's with x's and then set it equal to y because the only variable that our grapher understands is the x variable. Alright, so we're going to use the TI-84 here. You press your Y button. The first button on the left column on the top, press Y. Enter the quadratic function 2x raised to the second power. You can use caret 2 or you can use x squared right here. They both accomplish the same goal. So caret is underneath the clear button right here. So 2x caret 2 plus 3x minus 2. Okay, enter. Let's graph it. Press the graph button. In the first row, the rightmost button is the graph button. And there you have it. Alright, so these are the solutions here, the x-intercepts, where this parabola intersects the x-axis. So let's check and see if our solutions are correct. Okay, so we're going to press the trace button, and we're going to type in -2, press enter, bam, that's perfect, that's where we want it to be. So our first solution is -2, as you can see. And then the second one is 1/2 or 0.5, so we just enter 0.5. Press enter, bam, that's perfect also. Okay, so let's go ahead and sketch our solutions. This is just a rough sketch to give a visual indication as to where our zeros or where our solutions are located. Okay, so we have 1 right here, and then -1, and this is -2. So our solutions are located at -2 and 1/2. Okay, 1/2 is between the 0 and the 1 calibration marks, and our y-intercept is -2, so it's somewhere down here. Alright, so you just draw your parabola through the points, and it goes down here, curves around. This is just a rough sketch, nothing too serious. Alright, so we just indicate that this value right here, that's a solution. So x equals -2, that's a solution. And then the other solution is 1/2. Okay, the solution here is x equals +1/2. So based on what we saw in the graphing calculator, we know for a certainty that our answer is in fact correct. Thanks for taking the time to watch this presentation. We'd like to know what you think. If you found the contents of this tutorial helpful in your studies of solving quadratics by factoring, to give us a thumbs up. Your positive feedback is very valuable to us. If you have any questions or comments, just post it in the comment section below. We'll be more than glad to respond. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for updates to other presentations such as this. And don't forget to access the entire test in the link in the description below. And you can visit our website at math.serve.com for access to other great math resources. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.